Alright, folks, we are here at Comic Fever. I am your host, the Dynamite Crip, and this is Secret Empire number 4. And it's kind of funny because this is the fourth time I've tried to videotape this. So, without further ado, let's get on with the non-spoiler review. What can I say about the non-spoiler review? The book was fantastic. It had it really gets into the meat of the story in this one. Um, it well, the writer is the same. It is done by uh, Nick Spencer. Uh, penciler is Lionel Francis Yu. Inker is Gary or Jerry. Alan Gwillan, something like that. Colorist is Sunny Go. Letterer is Travis Lanham. And cover art was by Mark Brooks. A couple of familiar names and a couple of unfamiliar names. Anyway, the story flowed nicely from 3 to 4. I think now we're kind of getting in the real crux of the matter. And it is just a fun ride. The art was wonderful. The art was really good. If I was to pick a page where I thought was cool, it would have to be this panel right here. Because it shows a really good explosion and everything scatters. And it's really good at showing detail, in my opinion. Again, there's good contrast between light and dark, and overall art is good. It is really spot on with the comic. Anyway, this has been my non-spoiler review of SE4. Hopefully you've been following along. And anyway, if you don't want to be spoiled, this is the end of the video. And to that I say, see you on the other side. Now, for those of you who have decided to stick around, we have a lot to cover. Okay, first up, we open in the wilderness with Steve Rogers, and he's still trying to help the woman that he was trying to help in the last one. He's trying to get her help as she was bitten. But in this opening, we also get a bit of narration, and the narration talks about how there's dangers lurking behind everything, how he's got to fight his way through. Well, as he's fighting, he he discovers these two guys come up and they start helping him. And, you know, they basically, for lack of a better term, they clean house. And, you know, they beat everybody up. Um, Actually, I take that back. I don't think he's helping the girl anymore because I think she dies at the end of the last one. Yeah, that's right. She dies at the end of the last one. And, now he's just trying to find his way. Anyway, so he's trying to find his way and he ends up running into these bad guys. And, there's a bit of narration about how, I learned that danger lurks behind every corner. But then out of nowhere comes these uh, two other guys. And they help him basically clean house. As I was. But as they're done, they begin talking. And when they start talking to one another, they all find that none of them can really remember who they are or what they're there in the forge for. Um, but, like, so it goes on from there. And it just basically says that um, they're just trying to make sense of their surroundings, is basically what they end up saying to one another. The narrator ends the scene with um, talking about how I had found hope in friendship. We had found hope in friendship, and the we, I think, is talking about like him and the two guys, you know, had found hope in friendship. And now this next part has to do with picking up from where number 3 left off, which was we found out that the Punisher was working for Hydra, but it wasn't clear what his goal was. So we're out of the forest and we're at this next scene, and in this next scene, it's a picture of Frank Castle, aka Punisher, and he is sitting in front of these computers. And next thing we know, we hear Kraken come in the background, and you know, there's some banter back and forth, and finally Punisher says to Kraken, "Look, I don't answer to you." And then we hear, "Well, what about me?" And he goes, "Oh, Cap." And we find out that it's Captain America. Well, we learn that, uh, well, we learn that that Captain America has Punisher looking for something. We don't know what right off, but through what he says, um, we end up learning that he is helping look for Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow. enter the next scene. Next scene basically has us um, has Black Widow and she's severely beating up a guy, interrogating him, and we find out that he's a Hydra agent. And but as she's beating him up, she's beating him pretty badly, and he's screaming. And then the other members of the Red Room, which is where they're at, walk in, and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, calm down, cool it with these beating tactics." Well, we learned that she's she's trying to interrogate him because he's a part of Hydra, and he knows something, but clearly he doesn't. And then it goes from, well, beating him up to, well, now what are we supposed to do with him? I mean, we can't just let him go with all the secrets that he has on us and stuff like that. Well, uh, one of the members, which I believe is Ray Sean, steps up and says, "Well, I have a device. It is a mind wipe device, and we can use it so he doesn't remember anything." Um, so they go to mind wipe him, but then out of nowhere, this badly broken uh, Hydra agent manages to get Rayshawn and attacks him almost. Then uh, Black Widow ends up having to shoot him. Well, it's um, it ends with Natasha, aka Black Widow, saying, "Well, looks like we need another hotel room," because that's where they were interrogating him. Then we go to Alaska. And in Alaska, we've discovered that Ultron has been giving sanctuary of sorts in the in Alaska. And he's not only given sanctuary, but he's given sanctuary. Yeah, he has built his own army of sorts, and the reason why we are here in Alaska is because both factions have found out that in Alaska is one of the fragments, and Ultron happens to have it. um, a bit of information is that Hank um, has in one of the previous comics melded himself with um, Ultron, and as they're all going to Alaska, they're all saying each leader of each faction, which is the Underground and Hydra. Each leader is telling their members, remember, this is an Ultron. This is not your friend Hank Pym. Uh, Pym is gone. It's Ultron now. We go there, and at first it starts off, and it is supposed to just be a stealth mission, but then both factions end up running into each other, and Hercules ends up running into Odinson. Tony ends up running into Cap. And basically, they all just end up running into each other. And this big war, yet again, ensues. And during this war, this mini war, this battle of sorts, a rocket is launched and they're blown up. Next thing you know, they awake. For lack of a better word, they awake, and the next scene is they're around a kitchen table, and they're all shackled. And standing at the head of the table, carving a turkey, is none other than Hank Pym. Sorry for that. But anyway, it's Hank Pym, and he's talking about how he brought them all here together because he misses the old days, and he's just all sick of. He's just sick of how everything is falling apart, and how how they're always at each other's throats and everything like that. We learn a few things. We learn that we learn everybody's motives from how Cap had his reality rewritten. Scarlet Witch has been possessed by a demon named Cathon, and Thor wants his hammer back. This is what actually Tony ends up saying. And Hank is like, well, no, with everything, I was actually talking about your side of the table. He was talking about how he didn't recognize them anymore. And, so Tony decides to give him that little smart remark about how the different motives for different people. And after Tony gives these smart remarks, Hank says, well, no, I was talking about your end. I mean, let's talk about you, for instance, Tony Stark. You used to be this charismatic leader type, and, we looked at you in awe, and now you're just a drunken AI, that has no purpose. And, then another fight breaks out, and we find Hank blows up. And he's like, look, I'm just trying to help you guys. I'm always trying to help you guys. And all you guys ever do is ignoring me. Stop ignoring me. And Tony starts to laugh. Well, at first, Cap is like, don't do this. Because Tony says, I was waiting, I was wondering when Hank would show up. And Cap's like, don't do this. And Tony's like, no, this has to be said. And Tony then proceeds to go on about, um, you know why we don't do this anymore? You know why we don't have these get-togethers anymore? Why we don't go to the beach house? Why everything just became so awkward? It was because of you. You know, it was because of what you did to Jan. Uh, the only unfortunate thing is there seems to be a lot of tie-ins, so it's never brought up exactly what happened. It could be anything from the time he slapped her to um, something else he did, but it's never really explained. But he does go from there, and again, the Ultron side of him breaks through, sort of, and goes into a rage. And during this rage, he's like, one mistake. I make one mistake, and you people can't let it go. You people have made tons of mistakes. You people have practically ruined the world. And uh, yeah, and you know why Ultron made this place? You know why Ultron makes this army and doesn't do anything? Because of you. Because he sees you guys, and he knows that sooner or later, you guys are going to do the work that he set out to do. You're going to destroy everything sooner or later. And I'm just so sick of it. And he throws a tantrum, basically. And Ant-Man uh, shows up. Where's a Falcon? Falcon shows up. And he's like, look, um, Hank, look at me. No, it is Ant-Man. Sorry, I messed it up. It is Ant-Man. And he says, Hank, you and I are best friends because it's Scott. And you and I were best friends. And I didn't just look up to you because I wanted to borrow a suit. I looked up to you because of who you were. You know, I was a guy who made many mistakes in my life. And here you were, you're a guy that made only one mistake. And I needed somebody to look up to. And that's what we all are to each other. We're all somebody who can look up to somebody else in this room. And that's who we are. And so you just calm down, buddy. And he does. He gets Hank to calm down. And Hank goes back to his normal, Hank self. And um, after he gets to our town, he unshackles everybody, and they all leave. But as they leave, Hank gives a lesson or two to Captain America. And in a manner of speaking, he tells Captain America about how he's given the cosmic cube fragment to the others, and that the reason why he did this was because Captain America has amassed all this heavy duty power, and it's just about time to level the playing field. And that's why Ultron um, gave the fragment to Hanktron, as I like to call him, gave the fragment to the others. 6 hours later, the Underground is headed back home. Well, Hydra is off to Atlantis, where they will see Namor. And Namor has decided to just give up his portion of the Cosmic Cube, as it will save the world, as it will save Atlantis from having to go to war with Hydra and possibly ultimately lose. So he gives up the fragment, and we end with that, with the scene of them getting the Cosmic Cube, and it ends with Kraken asking if they should show some power and maybe go after Ultron for his quote-unquote betrayal. And we are left with the words of Captain America saying, "No, leave him alone. It doesn't matter how many fragments they get together. We got a guy on the inside." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how it ends. I hope you enjoyed this this look. Please stay tuned, as my next video will be of SC5, and then it will be on to my next series, which I think I'll stay with the SE, the Secret Empire run, and go to see what's next in the storyline. Anyway, as I say at the end of all these videos, I'll see you on the other side.